Now this is effectively allowing potential homeowners. So as you're aware, we have the budget coming this Wednesday, and I'm looking to pick up a few extra views by basically talking about the trending hot topics. So I figured let's get another property update out of the way. So I'm going to begin with the thing that's on everyone's lips, stamp duty. Now stamp duty was initially meant to end on March the 31st and is now likely to be increased until the end of June, giving buyers and sellers an extra 3 months to get deals done. So what exactly does that mean? Well, firstly, it means those who are probably feeling a bit of a squeaky bum moment of the deals collapsing or losing their savings on the stamp duty can now hopefully complete on their properties, and sellers can sleep better at night knowing their sales may, well, hopefully, should go through. But the question we must ask is it all good news? Personally, I think there's an issue here, and one that I'd love to address. If they were going to do this, as it seems inevitable now, why not announce this earlier? I mean, I'm not sure about yourselves, but if it was me looking for a house, I definitely would have stopped around December time, in the fear that I wouldn't have been able to complete in time. And as I mentioned in the last update, this is likely why we saw a drop in January. And as a result of this and the thought process that I just explained, buyers were probably more reluctant to actually buy something in January or February too. So if anything, rather than stimulating the property to some degree like it did previously, I see it more of a let's just save the current deals going through. But let me know your thoughts down below. Next up, we have a Swift report reminding you all to kindly destroy. You want them to destroy? To kindly destroy the like button and please subscribe if you haven't already. Moving on, we have the 5% deposit scheme in the mortgage guarantee scheme. Now this is effectively allowing potential So this is effectively allowing potential home buyers to only put down 5%, with the government providing incentives to lenders to provide these low deposit mortgages by offering them a guarantee. Now for newbies, this may sound like the best news ever, 5% deposit. But like I always say, unless we're talking about double stuffed Oreos, most things that sound too good to be true usually are. And this is why I lean heavily on the side of caution. Simply put, a 5% deposit in the current market we are in my opinion, which is a market that's already been artificially propped up with stamp duty and furlough, keeping people's heads above water, will correct at some stage. And even if we only have a 5 or 10% correction and wait a few years for things to really catch up, this can cause huge problems for potential homeowners. There will risk problems with refinancing unless the government issues another change, which will only increase their overall debt. And they will also find themselves likely falling into negative equity. Now, I sincerely hope I am wrong with that, because I would rather be wrong than see people get into debt or negative equity. But this is why it's very important to forecast and plan for the next few years ahead and understand what you are buying whilst knowing some of the basics around the property market cycle and the economy. Also, secondly, interest is a lot more on a 95% mortgage as opposed to a 90% mortgage or an 85% mortgage, which, as I say that, I know it's not rocket science because you're simply loaning more, but having more deposit saved will definitely help mitigate any leverage problems should the market wobble a bit. Plus your overall payments throughout the whole term will be much more favourable. So if you can save more, I highly suggest you save more. Now I understand why the government has done this, is trying to stimulate the market again. But even then, the affordability criteria is likely looking like it won't be relaxed, which instantly puts people in certain areas of the country unable to get that home ownership status that they've been craving for. And also, if you do some maths on the government's top figure for a house that you're allowed to purchase under this scheme, which they have capped at £600,000, it's interesting. So when I did the maths, I just thought something sounded a little bit off. You see, if the government and a lender accepts your application to, let's just say, buy a house worth £600,000, which would require a deposit of £30,000 under this scheme, you would take out a mortgage of £570,000, but you would also need a salary of more than £125,000. Now, I don't know about you, but I would find it very odd to see someone who was earning £125,000 a year needing a 5% deposit. So again, I feel this number was just kind of there for jokes, or unless we're looking at the London market, which, well, it's a bit of a joke, but I better take that out. Don't want to offend no one. Anyways, on to the next subject, unemployment. Now, according to the BBC, the latest forecast from the Bank of England is now predicting unemployment to peak at 7.75% if the government fails to extend the job support schemes beyond April. And we know from the last update that I did and the figures from October 2020 to December, unemployment was 5.1%, leaving 1.74 million people unemployed. Now, we know those in the hospitality sector, the retail and entertainment have definitely been hit, you could say the hardest. And also the young people aged 18 to 24, and I'm sorry if you're older than that and you don't fit into that young bracket, they have experienced the greatest drop from the payroll. And on that, I think we need to talk about furlough for a moment, just before we wrap this video up, because we had nearly 10 million people on furlough between the start of the pandemic to December, with 6 million up until February. Now, this has helped people massively and is scheduled to end in April. Now, the details I haven't actually been able to find as of yet, so it'll be interesting, or if you haven't, drop them in the comments down below, please, to see actually what happens. Because I really feel we're living in, I really didn't want to use this word, as it's kind of done my nutting for the last year, but we are simply living in unprecedented times. I didn't even think I'd be able to get that off my tongue. Nonetheless, we are where we are, and I sincerely hope this update helped, or even at the very least slightly entertained you, as a lot of this information can be a little snooze-worthy. I would also like to ask you as kindly as I could to consider liking the video and maybe subscribing if you found any of this content useful or entertaining, or if you're still with me right now. And let me know your thoughts down below as well, because it's always nice to connect with people who have watched the content, so maybe I can learn something too. And until next Wednesday, when the next video is coming out, which is going to be absolutely awesome, I hope, I wish you a lovely day, and now it's time to roll probably some more bloopers. Babe? Interesting. Now, for newbies, this may... just spitting for no reason. Next up, we have the Swift report. The Swift report? What the hell did I write there? To peak at 7.75%. It's pretty accurate. As in the figure, not actually if it's happened. A little snooze-worthy. A little snooze. I'm not going to be able to say it, am I? Snooze. And I would also like to ask you kindly if you'd like to consider no, that's a question. Bonus? Pretty hard. Can't say that. Now, this is effectively allowing potential homeowners to only put down 5%, with the government providing incentive. Not even sure what I'm trying to say. It's happening again. It's the boner thing.